On screen it is Department of Labor and Finance, and we do have also Mario Hernandez here. We also have our General Manager, Teresa Liu, and I see Mike Collins. After the subdivision election, anyone had the opportunity to submit an election challenge. And we did receive a few election challenges, and so 3 of them we decided that it was deemed well enough to go through an election challenge panel. And that's why we're here today. And let me just introduce, and then so hopefully today, as you see from the agenda, I have an opportunity to hear and to have the panel kind of adjudicate some of the response. I'm going to introduce the 3 panelists, and we'll just get started. We have from the San Fernando Valley, Carlos Pereira, president of the Greater Valley Women Neighborhood Council. We have Pamela Thornton, president of the Harvard Gateway North Neighborhood Council. And we have David Green. He'll be chairing the meeting. He's from the Eagle Rock Neighborhood Council. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn this over to David.
All right, hi everyone. If you're just arriving, the list for public comment, general public comment is over here. Feel free to come over and fill it out if you get the urge to speak. You won't be bothering us to take this. There'll be a public comment period, a general public comment period towards the end of the proceedings before we deliberate. I've done this a few times. This is my 4th time possibly running these things. We use words like adjudicate. This is not a legal proceeding. We are not lawyers. I'm not a lawyer. You might be a lawyer. If it were a real legal proceeding, I'd be wearing a tie, and I might have shaved. So this is like old school jurisprudence. This is like baby splitting jurisprudence. So we're deciding if things are fair. And just for people out there and who are involved in all this, we're neighborhood council people too. We know exactly what you're going through and how complicated and annoying but worthwhile these things are. So we will be straight with you if you are straight with us. We're here to get a good, fair result from something you have brought to the city. So we'll be nice to you if you're nice. Anyway, the way this goes, again, we're going to use words like evidence and truth and things like that, but it's really not a court. We're just going to hear what people have to say, and we're going to make a decision. The decision itself is, I don't know if it's binding, but it's a strong recommendation to done, like most neighborhood council things are. We get strong recommendations. But we have done this before, and it usually seems to work, and it is it's an interesting process, which is why I agreed to do it again after swearing not to do it before. Never again. So the way this runs, there are rules that we were given, and you may have, that the city sets up for these kinds of things. Some of them are fairly new rules. They've evolved over time, but the rules that we are operating on list the amount of time people have to speak, and we have who the parties are, and stuff like that. So I'm going to tell you how it's going to go, and then we will just do it. I've got a little iPad here with a timer. I will try to keep everyone to time so that we don't stay here till 10 o'clock at night. The timing is pretty generous. There seem to be a lot of public comment cards, which is great. We will get to everyone, but I might limit you to 1 minute if it's getting long. And I would ask everyone to sort of stay on topic. We're not here to decide other things. We're here to figure out what happened in a certain instance and whether it fits into the matrix for the challenge, and then decide on the remedy. So we will deliberate later and deliberate in public, which is weird, but it's all in public. So if we can all sort of stick to the topic and stick to the facts at hand, we will get a good result and we'll get a timely result. So again, using the legal arguments, the first thing that happens is something called an opening argument. So the way, what the rules say is that the person filing the election challenge will get 10 minutes for the opening argument. Any person or persons being challenged will get 10 minutes for for a further opening argument, and then someone from the Department of Labor Empowerment will get 10 minutes for an opening argument. Then we move on to rebuttal, and then we get to ask questions, which is the most useful part. And then there's public comment, and then we deliberate, which is we sit here and talk to each other on microphone. And then we make a decision, and we recommend a remedy if the decision is that something happens. I assume everyone here knows what's going on, but I will briefly read off what is being alleged. Again, it's a terrible word, but we kind of have to use it. There are 3 challenges we're going to be talking about. They're challenges 103, 104, and 105. They're all brought by the same folks, so we're going to talk about them all at the same time. So we don't have time for 103 and time for 104 and time for 105. That would add up to several hours of people talking. So I would like everyone to talk about all of them at the same time, so they all deal with the same factual issues. Now, when it comes to deciding whether the challenges are upheld, we're going to deal with them individually because they allege separate things. So 103, 104, 105, they are election challenges submitted by General Jeff Page regarding the April 6, 2017 Skid Row subdivision election. The reason for the challenges, 103 was campaign material issues, 104 was inappropriate endorsement of candidates, number 105 was electioneering by candidates. And that's the story. So I'm going to ask the panel if they have any questions or clarification before we start, before this training starts going. So I'm going to ask that the person filing the election challenge come down here, if they don't mind, or I guess come over there, for a 10-minute opening argument. Now, if you want more than 10 minutes, that's fine because you have 3 challenges. It'd be nice if it was less than 30 minutes. What we're here is to talk about some really sort of boring, dry stuff and not the merits of whether one thing is good or another thing is bad. We're here to figure out whether something actually happened. So if we can just kind of move forward with the factual stuff, it'll get everyone home sooner and probably result in the exact same result as if we had enthusiastic responses to it. Anyway, do you know how much time you want, or do you just want me to tell you when?
Less than 30.
Less than 30. All right, so I'll set the timer for 30 minutes. And we'll start bugging you every 10 minutes.
At what point am I allowed to show the video?
Whatever you choose, we have it right now.
I'm ready to or we're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ronald F. I am the chair of the Skid Row Neighborhood Council Formation Committee. This is my 3 challenges on behalf of the Skid Row community. This is something that we take very, very serious. Now, the evidence that we're going to present to you today is not the obvious smoking gun where who we're naming is D-Link is in violation. So it's not like they have the smoking gun in their hand with the confession. So it's not that kind of simple smoking gun. We wouldn't be here till that evening. What it is we have circumstantial evidence that we will lay out that we expect the 3 of you on this review panel will actually put together and have the wherewithal and the confidence to make the necessary decisions made to make it all make sense. So first, let me just start by saying the Skid Row Neighborhood Council election was not based on normal neighborhood council criteria where there are individual candidates. It was actually a neighborhood council formation committee asking to create a Skid Row Neighborhood Council. So a yes vote means for Skid Row, which does make Skid Row a candidate. A no vote subsequently is for D-Link to keep the system that's already in place, thus making D-Link a candidate. So now with those parameters, we know that Skid Row and D-Link are also candidates. So now based on that structure, we would like to get to the evidence. We want to jump ahead because we know that Dunn, the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, actually offered a report. And so the report has actually got the evidence, I think, that all of us can follow along if we go to that document. And so based on that document, we want to start on page 10, which is evidence that we offered in regards to an email that was sent out and forwarded to us. And one specific point that we want to begin with is the email address on that particular document. And that email begins with,
But we know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All the written material we reviewed before we got here.
all of it, okay?
I have, page by page.
Great, thank you. So the email in question of the email, of the email address in question from the email that was sent out is unitedtla@gmail.com. So that is the point of question in terms of Unite DTLA. So now by comparison, we want to also hold that page and we want to go to page 66, which is attachment C that Dunn offered. And if you look at and you compare email, the email address on attachment C is DTLA United. So compared the two, those are two separate emails. So let's be clear. So not only did they not send two emails out, but all measures that negatively influenced Dunn's report and significantly altered their findings, and therefore their subsequent recommendations are all obscure because it's inaccurate based on what they said. We hope that when Dunn gets up here to give their report, that they will speak to the fact of how they got to see those emails and where they were generated from. Because they were generated from the same entity, then we would know that all the roads trace back to D-Lane. And we hope that Dunn would also state that as well. At this time, we would like to go into our video. If we can have the video played. Yeah. So that our video evidence, so that we all can fully understand. Hold time, please. Is my time held? My name is General Chef. I am the chair of the Skidmore Neighborhood Council Formation Committee. With me is Catherine McNeely, who is one of the 5 community liaisons on our Skidmore Neighborhood Council Formation Committee subdivision application process. We are about to document our videotape evidence of our challenges against the downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, specifically in regards to our subdivision election, which was held on April 6, 2017. So we start on with an email blast that was forwarded to us. It actually went out in an email blast, and one of the recipients was an anonymous source who wishes to remain anonymous, and the email blast went out from a Unite DTLA with an email address of unitedtla@gmail.com. Our first challenge is that there was a official position was taken in our subdivision application. As we scroll down, we can also see that a city logo in the form of a neighborhood council logo was used in this campaign material. We scroll down even further, and at the bottom it shows that there's PLA, P.O. Box 130, that this P.O. Box is the same exact P.O. Box that belongs to the downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, which is P.O. Box number 13096, Los Angeles, California 90013. And while Unite DTLA has a MailChimp account, it should also be noted that the downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council also has a MailChimp account. And so there's an issue with that because the funding that from the city of Los Angeles that went to the downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council to set up this PO mailbox was used with taxpayer funding through the neighborhood council funding system, and therefore there are restrictions on that that the city upholds, and the downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council is not allowed to have any unauthorized use of their PO box, which is 13096, which specifically pertains to, in this instance, a Unite DTLA entity, which, as of right now, we know that there is no prior approval from the city of Los Angeles. So that is another violation that against the downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council. So now, to take it further, when we click on this one icon, there are 3 icons here, and when we click on the why did I get this icon, that further goes to an icon. Why did I get this goes to a link, which shows this is the link attached to this correspondence, which clearly shows that this correspondence went out and this URL, it belongs to the downtown. Not only this account, but this list, managing a list, which clearly shows that this is for their email blast. And so clearly there are multiple violations. The D-Link is now the DTLA entity, which they both share a same PO mailbox 13096, which that is illegal. There is also another violation in regards to 2 violations in regards to our subdivision application. 1, the use of a city logo, this time in the form of a neighborhood council logo. And in addition to that, the use of the neighborhood council taking a position in an election. So there are 2 challenges and 1 additional piece of evidence in regards to unapproved use of funding and in regards to a P.O. Box mailing address. So this is our video proof against the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council in regards to Skid-Row Neighborhood Council Formation Committee subdivision application election that took place on April 6, 2017. So now from there, we can all turn to page 7, where it's, actually, I'm sorry, page 61. Sorry, page 61. Where it's the 3rd page of Dunn's report. And the 5th paragraph.
Hold on, tell us what's at the top of the page, because our numbers, we don't really have.
We don't have numbers.
Okay, it's on the findings segment. And the top of the page is number 3.
Perfect.
Excellent. So in the 5th paragraph, on the 3rd line, it says when the URL was used in the subscription process and links to the first Unite DTLA email, which now we know there's only 1, it is linked back to the D-Link website and have the same URL for the why did I get this link as another email known to be sent by D-Link. So again, all roads continue to point to D-Link. There's irrefutable evidence when we talk about the URL evidence. Now, also in their findings, you drop down in that same page, 3 more paragraphs beneath that, where Dunn reports that there is another difference, which they haven't included to yet, but another difference noted between the original Unite DTLA and a known public D-Link email is that there is a hashtag before the P.O. Box number in the Unite DTLA email and not one in the D-Link email. And so when Dunn says that there is not one in the D-Link email, that's where we're also saying that Dunn is wrong. We want you to now turn to page 7, where in the evidence that we offered, it is clear that there is a letterhead from D-Link in evidence that we offered, and in the letterhead on the right side, if you can see it, it says Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, P.O. Box, there is a hashtag 13096, which is the exact same hashtag. No, ma'am, the page before that. Sorry. No, I'm sorry, even further. Hold on. It's a letterhead.
It's the. We've all read it early. We were very.
Kind of jumped around, a lot going on.
Okay, gotcha.
Eat up the time, eat up the time. Say, hold my time.
Oh, we got it. I mean, we're waiting on you. We're waiting on you.
No, I saw it.
Oh, okay, so in the lower right corner, there's a Downtown San Diego Council P.O. Box hashtag 13096. So now, it just already in our beginning, we've already accomplished two faults that in Dunn's report. So clearly, there is a deception going on and deceitfulness at the hands of D-Link through their front organization, Unite DTLA. Now, not only in our first proof, when we talked about the two different emails, there's a Unite DTLA and then there's a DTLA United. So not are we only saying that there's one front organization, but now there are two front organizations that D-Link is using to cover up. And we'll get more into the second cover up a little bit further. So through that, we have D-Link, who has laid out this plan that, in terms of our evidence and our challenges, has undermined the democratic process in terms of what Skid Row community is applying for through our Skid Row Neighborhood Council process. There is additional information when we go against D-Link, when we talk about the actual evidence at hand on page 10, where D-Link, through their front organization, takes a position of vote no on against Skid Row. And so again, there is no proof that there is a third-party entity when the URL points specifically back to the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council. So when they say vote no, that is actually taking a position. Also on page 10, you see clearly the D-Link logo is used. That is also illegal. And throughout all of this process, where we have the multiple offenses and the multiple front organizations, D-Link is using front organizations to take a position against the Skid Row Neighborhood Council, which also is in clear violation. Going back to page 61, starting at the top where it said number 3. The list of contacts, it says the list of contacts in the quote voters list that in the D-Link MailChimp account attachment B. This shows the type of subscriber list, and there was not one called voters list. But it says, which appears if you click, why did I get this in the original Unite Detail email? So now, we're also challenging that because if you go back, if Thomas, you can help me out, towards the end of the video, let's say at the 5-minute one, when we look at the URL, it says D-Link, and then it says list hyphen manage. It does not say voter list.
Yeah, we saw that, Tom. I don't think we need to.
You can go ahead, I know we saw that, and you might want to just wait to go across the field.
I've got the video on my laptop.
How much longer time? So just while we searching that out,
Challenge 105 is specifically about electioneering, and so Dunn made a recommendation that the electioneering, that challenge should be dismissed. What they didn't say, and when you look at the document in the election challenge portal, it basically lists all of the challengeable offenses. And in that challengeable offenses, it clearly says, well, what's challengeable, what's not. And so on the third point is electioneering. And as you can see before, above that and beneath that, in parentheses, it specifically says whether it's electioneering within 100 feet or not. What it says is electioneering, period. And what the electioneering is soliciting votes in an election. And so that's exactly what we have, is what DEALING has done through their front organizations, is that they are pushing out campaign material, but they pushed out campaign material that actually took a position soliciting in votes. So in that regard, that is electioneering, and DEALING should be found guilty as charged. So again, all roads point back to DEALING. There is also evidence of a current DEALING board member, Jacob Van Horn, who offered his own testimony, if you will, what we call a semi-confession, because in that, and we can go to his evidence on page 12, where it's basically a confession where it says exactly in the fourth paragraph where it says that, you know, it was done by a MailChimp using an entirely different email account. And so when you say that, it's like he's basically saying exactly how it unfolded. And then you go further down where it says in the two sentences after that, he says that, you know, the United Detailing folks were contacted and told to cease and desist. Which is why there wasn't any further email sent by them, but we don't know, there's no evidence that there were any further emails because they used the second front organization to send out the second email that Dunn referred to in their report. And so we do not know if the United Detailing emails actually stopped. But what we do know is only days before our election that these emails went out. Further, beneath that, you see it's highlighted, it says that where it was spanning everyone's, so that not just that email, but everyone's email spanning, so there's multiple numerous emails 4 times a day. So when we look at DEALING and we talk about the 2016 neighborhood council election, there were 847 people that registered for that. So now they were automatically registered for our scheduled neighborhood council subdivision election. And through that, 4 times over 800 signatures, registered voters, we're talking about over 3,300 emails per day. And so while we can't prove it, DEALING can't prove that it stopped after one day. So it's fair to say, to be argued, that this was thousands and thousands of emails went out per day, so it definitely negatively influenced our election. And then when you know that we only were short by 60 votes, there is a definite pause that has to go into this. So when you consider the fact that there are 2 separate emails, a United DTLA and a DTLA United, and again, when Dunn comes up, I'm sure they will speak to where these emails generated from. And again, at the bottom of the icons, when you click on the icons, all the URLs go back to downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, except for the second one, which clearly that's where the cover-up happened. And when DEALING, then they decided, well, the first one was guilty, they got caught. So they covered up the second one. And when you look at what they did to cover up on the second email that went out, you can clearly see that there was numerous changes to the email. And so when you look at the email, starting with something as simple as the header was changed. So when it said vote no in the original email, it was vote no in capitals. In the second email, it was both no with a small O on the no. You know, and so it goes all the way down. Then you go all the way down with the P.O. box. It's just completely empty because they couldn't think of anything else, that they knew if they were contacted, it would have to, they would have contact that had that go somewhere. And so when you have the Unite DTLA with the hashtag 13096, clearly that road goes back to D-Link. And so when you have all roads going back to D-Link, it is quite clear on the deceit, and not only towards the voters, you know, it's deceit for the city of Los Angeles, deceit towards the Skid Row neighborhood council effort. And so clearly there is deep concerns, and we feel that they need to be punished immensely. Also in the second email, you know, and we have a list of 12 separate offenses. You know, we talked about the email address, detailunited@gmail.com. We talked about the title. It changed from Unite Downtown to United Downtown. You know, they changed the font of neighborhood council elections and voter registration. It added in United Downtown. And you just go on and on and on. They capitalize all letters of the P.O. box so they could see when the kid gets his hand caught in the cookie jar, they try to do whatever they can to cover it up. And so the first email, they got caught because all the URL went to D-Link, the P.O. box connected directly to D-Link, and so now they come out with a second front organization to, you know, try to throw off the scent, which Dunn did. We didn't buy it because we know, we saw it. There's a difference between Unite DTLA and DTLA Unite. So through that second email that they sent out that Dunn has to speak to because Dunn attributed to Unite DTLA. And so with all this confusion going on, that's where Dunn is trying to make it get away clean. So the crime scene is there. It's not a smoking gun in their hand, but it's definitely, you know, blood splatter. The gun is smoking, laying on the ground, and it's up to this panel to take it amongst themselves to say, you know, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it is a duck. So in this case, if the crime scene, if it looks like it was D-Link, and all the roads point to D-Link, then it was D-Link because it was no one else. Because when you say it's one thing to create not only a one front organization, but two front organizations, it's a whole other thing to attach to D-Link's database to send this out. Excuse me. And so we have a D-Link board member who clearly said in their own writing that this went out to everyone. And also, too, what that person says, we go back to Jacob Van Horn, that is on page 11. And on that, it said, that was actually where I asked him to, could you email? He said he contacted United DTLA himself. And so when I asked him to send the email, he said, sure. So it was very interesting that there was no to and no from, so we don't have any proof. And so don't be confused by the timestamp on this particular email because that's a screenshot. So that's what was captured by my cell phone. That's the battery life and the time for my email, for my cell phone. But in the email, he actually says, would you please do us a favor? We don't know what capacity he's speaking to, you know, when he says us. But he said, do us a favor and cut back on these. So now D-Link knew that their email potentially was hacked, and there's this third-party entity that's created this illegal campaign, this illegal propaganda. You know, where's the sense of urgency and sense of alarm in D-Link that said we need to contact Dunn, we need to contact the city attorney's office, we need to have a cease and dismiss. There's none of that energy. So when Dunn asked D-Link to submit whatever email, all the emails that they sent to a United DTLA, they only submitted one from the President Patty Vernon. But it's ironic. Why didn't they submit this one from Mr. Van Horn, where he said he submitted this to United DTLA? But interesting, he didn't tell them to cease and dismiss, as he stated earlier on social media. He asked that to be cut back. And then further in the next sentence, this is why you may be trying to help with the position he's agrees with. It says, spamming people over and over again. So clearly there's multiple signs, indications that say these emails went out, spammed everybody. and up to as many as 4 times a day, if not more, through multiple email accounts. And all you can see is all roads lead back to lead back to D-Lane, where D-Lane clearly took a position, they used the city logo, and they solicited votes. That's electioneering, so they should be found guilty of all 3 challenges, and they definitely need to be disqualified. They need to be punished to the fullest extent. We're talking about criminal activity. They lacked the sense of urgency. They never had spoke about this after following up April board meetings. Just total irresponsibility and neglect. And so when the URL is a smoking gun that goes directly to D-Lane, there's nothing else they could do. But there's a fake two-front organization. How can some random person tie in to D-Lane's database and send it out with their own confession? The current D-Lane board member admitted that these went out at least 4 times a day. So with that, we have the video, we click on the links go back to downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, and with that, I close because we want to allow time for public comment, but we definitely thank you for your time. We know that the Skid Row Neighborhood Council deserves the Skid Row Neighborhood Council.
And then there will be the question period, and like I said, the question period is when the actual interesting stuff gets done, because that's when we get to ask questions about factual things. We're going to move on to the next opening argument, which is any person or persons being challenged. Now, Dunn has given us a list of 2 or 3 people/entities who are being challenged. Ideally, well, first of all, how many people are here to speak on behalf of the person or persons being challenged? We've got 1, 2, so 3. Well, are you?
I'm not on the council, never mind.
Okay. Yep. So that sounds like a public comment. So we've got 2 official people here. So since that's how I got 30 minutes, you guys have 30 minutes too. Split it up however you want. Again, you might not need 30 minutes, but you have 30 minutes if you wish. So please introduce yourself for the record and go for it.
Thank you. My name is Patty Berman. I'm the president of the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council. Is this? Am I coming through this at all? No. That's what I want. I'm short, but I'm not that far away from it. Okay, is this better? Yes. All right. Thank you very much for taking time to listen. I'd like to start with just arguing. We've got some materials here. This is just so you understand. I know that we are being defined.
Hold on, we're going to pause for a second. And just pause for a second. Refer back to what I said at the very beginning. We're all on the same side. All right? So. You might have just submitted by email. It says no evidence. What it says is that the challenging side can't present any other written evidence. And I talked to Dunn about this today because I had the same question. We've run into this before.
Why wasn't it in the notice packet?
Well, it is in the notice packet that it says the challenging party can't present any new written evidence.
So we're not allowed to review it until now?
And the question I asked was, what if someone, because I know someone's going to walk up and hand me a binder, not as nice a binder as this.
That's a Brown violation.
But the question was whether we can look at it at the hearing, and the answer that I got was yes. Now, there's a city attorney here who could weigh in on this before we open our binders.
No, it doesn't say they can offer written evidence. I have it right here in the report. It doesn't say that. It says, if there are any person or persons being challenged, they shall have the opportunity to present an opening argument, not to exceed 10 minutes. It doesn't say anything
But
about
now, let me just finish my discussion about the conversation. Because again, when I say I'm on the same side, I would like to find out the truth going on here. We are not here with any agenda other than getting this over before 11 o'clock at night. And getting to the truth. So one of the options I presented, because again, I've done this before, and the rules kind of evolve, is that if it was decided that we can't open the binders and look at new written materials, what has happened before is the folks who are presenting use some of their time to open up the binder and show us the stuff, just like you showed a video. They are allowed to do that. There's nothing in the rules that say they can't hold up things and read from things. Okay? So I'm going to defer to the city attorney who's here, who can tell us whether we can read. The reason I said that is it's no fun to read while people are talking. So he's going to tell us whether we can open these binders and look at them, or whether that is a Brown Act situation, well, not really Brown Act, but a public record situation, or whether the folks who are presenting during their 30 minutes can open the binders themselves and read off what's in the binder. Is that cool?
No, it's not, because it's clear that they cannot offer any new evidence.
Well, they can do whatever they want. I mean, they can't say
No, they can't. Let's see that process. We'll see. It says here they can. If you're saying that, you're with them. It says here.
Yes, you may look at the binders. The restriction on evidence is just on the challenging side. If you think about it, it makes sense because D-Link doesn't necessarily know, the board has to meet, they may not come up with things till the last minute. They have to have an opportunity to be able to rebut whatever is being alleged as well. So they're allowed to present some information to the panel is allowed to hear it. At the end of this evening, everybody will have an opportunity to provide their input, and the panel is going to evaluate that. Because in a sense, all of it is kind of evidence or information that's coming in.
Yeah, but that's the challenges information was on EmpowerLay's website and it was forwarded to D-Link. So that's just like what was forwarded to what we submitted was forwarded to D-Link. So that's what was there. So how can they offer new evidence if we can't offer new evidence?
Well, you're restricted by what you present in your challenge. They have our demographic.
So they can just surprise us at the hearing.
Wow.
So the challenger can surprise.
I don't want to get too convoluted about this, but when I say they can do whatever they want, they can go up there and they can say whatever they want. There's no restrictions on their speech. Otherwise, they're going to get up there and say nothing. I mean, they can say what they want. When I say
Right, well, that's what they should do. They should not be able to allow written evidence. It says there will be no new written evidence. It says the only written evidence considered will be what's coming from the election challenge. Right. That's in the first line. Right. So they should go ahead and speak. I have no problem saying whatever they want to say, but they can't offer any new evidence, any written evidence. It says in the first line.
Is it to impeach? Is it impeachment?
Well, we're going to start, we're going to listen to them, and we'll see what happens.
So is that with the binders or without?
With the binder.
The binders are here, but they're going to make a presentation, and we're going to listen to what they have to say.
The public gets a look at the binders?
Absolutely. There's one right down there.
Really?
I'll start by saying that the things we put in there are all public information, except for the very last information that we received just recently. The only reason I gave it to you is to make it easier. First of all, D-Link as a body has taken no action and no opinions on the Skid Row Neighborhood Council formation. And because of that, I just made it easier. You could go on our website and find all of our minutes and agendas, but I brought them to you. Our treasurer, who is up here if you need to ask her any questions, has gone through all of our bank statements and ascertained that we spent no public money on anything related to this. And I just put those there because it would be easier for you. So what I would like to start with is that, first of all, this is more of a grievance than it is an election challenge, but going on as it is, it says that the neighborhood council as a body is a candidate in this election. And I would like to read from the election manual, which states that a candidate is a person running for an elected board seat. And it also states that they have to register as a candidate. This was not that type of election. This was the type of election, or the type of, I guess you call it an election. It's a referendum. It's where you go in and you say, yeah, I like it, no, I don't. It was a yes-no vote. D-Link is not a candidate, and I just want to get that out of the way. But then to look even further, I was looking at the let me see what this document is entitled. The report that came from Gracie Lou to the City Council about the neighborhood council election challenges. I'm not sure if this is a regular title or is it just a document. It's April 28, 2017. It talks about the election challenges, and it does say that you feel they should dismiss 104 and 105, so I'm only talking to 103. It says that for this challenge to be valid, the election challenge panel would have to find a dealer or someone with access to D-Link's MailChimp, sent the initial Unite BTLA email from D-Link's account using their logo and resources, and that this made a difference in the election results. So I had a whole lot of stuff that I was going to talk about, but I think one of the most important issues here is simply that we have proof that it did not come from our MailChimp account. Sorry. I personally hired a computer expert who talked to MailChimp, found out about the way that they do business, and if you were to take any email that had come off of our listserv and clicked on that same link, why am I getting this? You would have gotten something that said D-Link, and I can't remember if it's a dash or a dot, we could bring it back up, US 6. The one that was sent out with our logo illegally said US 15. And according to MailChimp, that means it's 2 separate MailChimp accounts. So I would like to talk about that email. I received it. It went out about 11:45 in the morning. I was gone that day, came back, and at about 2:30, 3 o'clock, I saw it. I saw our logo on it. I immediately responded to it. You have that email in your packet saying, you can't do this. This is a city logo. And I never received another email that had our logo on it. I did not notice that they had put our post office box at the bottom. And I think that was really going over the top. But I did notice that they were typing so fast that when they got to CA for California, they forgot to capitalize the A. It did not come from our listserv. We do not have a list called voters. Those 800 and some voters that voted in the last election, we never put them on our listserv. We use ours almost exclusively for automatic emails that are sent by our website during the 72-hour period before an election, before a meeting. It's sent out to people who said they want to be notified about those meetings. And they're all, you'll see if you look at the list of emails that were sent out during that period of time, most, except for one, I think, where the police department asked us to advertise something that they were doing in our area, and we sent out a notice. Other than that, they're all automatically generated from our website. And this one came from a completely different account. So I think that's the most important thing. Now, resources, making a difference on the election. I would like to ask a couple of questions. First of all, has anyone come forward to Dunn or provided a statement indicating that he or she voted no because of this email? Did one voter provide a statement that he or she had not received the email, but that would have voted yes if they had not received it? Is there one voter who voted no that provided a statement indicating that he or she even saw the email and it affected their vote? You are yes voters. The evidence that the email produced the other side such a degree that it charged the outcome of the election is ridiculous. But the whole point of this is that having done the research through MailChimp, you can even go back to his video. It says US 15. Everything in our MailChimp account is US 6. And from what I understand, that's how they distinguish people who use the same words. If you notice in this report, when it talks about setting up their own and trying it, the department tried creating an account with the username D-Line. A message came back stating that another user has that name. We did discover, however, that the registered company names of the URLs do not have to be unique. In other words, a third party could create a MailChimp campaign using D-Link as its company name and URL. When the URL was used in the unsubscription process and linked for the first time, it didn't link back to the website, our website, it linked back to the US 15 website. So, our board never took a position on this. I believe that if we ever discussed it, that we would find that there were people on both sides of the issue on board. No one on our board used our listserv, which, if you take a look, is a fairly pathetic one. Used our listserv for anything having to do with this election. And no one was responsible for this Unite DTLA. It was not a front for anyone. No one would like to find out more than I would who the hell did this, because they have caused me an awful lot of problems. But I have no idea who Unite DTLA or who DTLA United is. All I know is that from what I understand from some very good computer experts, that they're pretty bad at this. But I just want to go through a couple. Sorry, this is my turn. So here's the thing. Did D-Link send the alleged email on behalf of Unite DTLA? No. There is no evidence that we did send it, and there is good evidence that we did not send it. If someone with significant resources wanted to sway the election by breaking this rule, could she do it? Here she do it, of course. Someone at Dunn was able to produce one. It's easy enough to do. Any of the information that was on that email could easily come off of our website. There is no way that they couldn't have gotten it. I myself went up to see if you can copy the logo down. All you gotta do is say save as, and it's yours. It is a transparent one that we have on there. We put it on a black background, and I noticed that these people went through a great deal of trouble trying to reproduce the black background out, thinking that that was part of our logo, which it isn't. But there you have that. Does the link to the listserv establish proof that D-Link sent the email? No, exactly the opposite. It shows that it did not come from ours because it does not have a US 6 on it. I do have a computer expert here if you have questions for him later. You can to better understand this, but the URL distinctly says that this did not come off of our listserv. A couple of other things that I wanted to refer to, and that would be election challenges. There are a lot of reasons that you can challenge an election, but if you do, it would mean that there was a candidate who did it. If you look at the list of things that are challengeable, it's about a candidate. There is no candidate in this case. There is no one who registered to be a candidate, and there is no one who is running as a candidate. There was a referendum. It is a yes/no vote. The thing here is that it is the things that are non-challengeable. There are all sorts of things that you can't challenge, and one of them would be a single person off of our board. If indeed one of our board members was involved with Unite DTLA, I would love to find out about it, because I'll bet we could get them off the board really fast. However, I have no idea who these people are. I don't know anyone in my board who does, and we certainly have asked around. I have other board members here. We had nothing to do with this. I'm sorry it caused such a big stink, but truth is, it didn't come from our listserv, and it was not something that came from us. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for listening.
Hello, thank you very much for being here. My name is Ronald Newman, Vice President of Administration for the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, and I'm here as a stakeholder. The Neighborhood Council did not take a position on this matter. Also aware of some of the information that Patty just presented, and hopefully you'll take the time to go through the binder. Just some of what's inherent in the binder is meeting minutes from the Passover meeting showing that is that you did not discuss this as a board and did not take a position on it. Okay, so the agendas are there and meeting minutes are there. We also have a statement of bank accounts showing that no funds, no public funds, no funds of the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council were used in this election. Again, there's a Biden next to General Jeff, if anyone needs to take a look themselves. There's also a listing, as she mentioned, showing from their agenda that no such email came from our account. Let alone, as I said, the difference between the 6 and the 15. Again, difference. Okay? And of course, there's also in the binder a response, as Ms. Berman alluded to, that was her response when she foresaw this email to whoever she did reply, and went back to whoever sent this email, and basically saying it brought to our attention that she's using the email logo, which she cannot do. Immediately, shortly thereafter, whoever sent that email, and we do not know who it is, went ahead and opened up another account, and that's when we see the difference. So, in regard to what General Jeff has alleged, on behalf of the Skid Row Commission Committee, he says that there were front organizations. They're not front organizations. UNC stands before you as the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council. Okay, we don't need a front organization. 15 years here, I'm very proud of our organization and what we do. I'm looking forward to keeping Downtown united and working together. The other thing is that there's, as she mentioned, there's a referendum. It's not an election. There are no candidates. Okay? And the thing about irrefutable evidence, again, it's a false claim, because as you see in the binder and it's presented to you, we have the evidence showing that Leland had nothing to do with these emails coming out. MailChimp, anybody can go in and input their information, so therefore they can take UN's information, they can put it in, and then they can form their own account and send this out. And that's exactly what happened in this particular case. As far as Mr. Jacob Van Horn and the member, I think it's a little stretch as a member of the Downtown Area Council who's applying to some social media, okay, and having dialogue, to stretch to say that he is a form of a confession. That's absolutely ridiculous. If you read, and I want to give you copies of those Facebook postings, that basically is that there's an opinion, a characterization, and an opinion, but that's not a fact. And I just want to close with this. This is an example where this happens all the time, of course. And I hope after we get past this, that we can keep Downtown united and we can work together. This is an absolute example of presenting stuff as fact when it's a characterization of opinion, which people are entitled to their opinion. I would hope, as leaders of the community, that we can get the facts and present them, because it's incumbent upon us to lead by example. And it's very important to lead by example based on the facts. So thank you very much for being here. And we're available for any more questions.
That's a fact.
Excuse me. No one interrupted your representative. I want to ask you that you do not interrupt them. Okay? Whatever you feel, we still have to hear the evidence and we'll move forward. I'm just asking you to be civil.
We are civil.
Your side has 10 more minutes if you choose to use it. If not, we're going to move on.
And there's still no public toilet.
All right. So second up, we're going to go on to Department of Requirements. We'll have 30 minutes if they choose to use it. Just so you know, we're still in the quote-unquote opening arguments phase. We'll move on to rebuttals, so everyone will have a chance to get up there and we can do this again for a blissfully shorter amount of time.
Good evening. My name is Gracie Lewis. I'm the manager for the Department of New Empowerment. Thank you to our panelists for being here tonight. And thank you to stakeholders for being here as well. Going through our work, and then I'm going to show some of the information that we found so that the panelists will have this in making their determination. You've already heard from General Jeff the situation of the emails. What we looked at were the election challenges themselves. So I'm gonna go through the three that we have. So there was the first election challenge, which was number 103, which was about the campaign material issues. We feel that that this challenge was followed correctly, and the evidence with it was also supportive of their allegation of the campaign material issues. The other two, challenge number 104, which was about the board endorsement of candidates, we felt should be dismissed because the board, D-Link, did not take any action on this. They did not endorse anything. So that the materials that were provided for that challenge did not apply in this case, and that this challenge was not appropriately filed. The third challenge of number 105 regarding electioneering, I know that General Jeff mentioned that that there was electioneering by the candidate. However, under our election challenges, what is challenge? The challenge is electioneering by the applicant. So the only way that could be a valid challenge was if General Jeff was electioneering. So he was showing information about D-Link allegedly electioneering, and that's not a challengeable election challenge. So I will proceed then with the first challenge of number 103 about campaign materials. And as was mentioned before by Herman, that if this was to be found to be a valid election challenge, we would have to find that the D-Link logo was used by D-Link and using their resources to push out this email to voters. And so, and that there was a material difference in terms of the outcome, if this was true. And what we found was, so the main issue that we looked at is, could I replicate that email that had been sent out by United or Unite DTLA? And I know that General Jeff mentioned that there were two different emails that this came from, and for us, that wasn't a material difference. Doesn't make a material difference in our determination of the fact that we found the evidence to be inconclusive. We could not show that this had to have come from D-Link, this email, and that the Unite DTLA, two Unite DTLA emails, even though they came from two different Gmail accounts, it was still basically representing Unite DTLA. So, so let me just show you some of the information that we found. So this is the first, and I don't know if the panelists want to go back in the audience. Okay. So if you look at the Unite Downtown Vote No on State Road Operation, this is the one that General Jeff was talking about, and it's the basis of the challenge. So about the fact that this PO box, this was the same as downtown Austin or D-Link PO box. That's true. It is the same PO box. We did note that the hashtag here, I'll show you in a later email that we got from D-Link, is not there. If you do, why do I get this? So he's saying here, D-Link US.15.listmanage, that because it's a D-Link there, that it is coming from D-Link. So the other thing that we found that General didn't mention, that if you were to update your profile, and this actually came from one of our staffers who actually happens to also be the D-Link subscriber, and you say, update my profile, and it says return to the website. When you turn to that website takes you to D-Link's website. Okay? So this will become relevant in a second as to why. So let's remember that this took us to D-Link's website, and that this was the D-Link.us 15.listserv, which General Jeff is saying comes from D-Link. So After this email came out, Patty did state that she sent an email asking them to not use their logo, and she didn't notice the PO box. So we got this second Unite DTLA email. So we, even though that this Gmail account is not the same account, it's basically, pushing the same message, right? So, so when we look at this, the logo has been removed, and they also removed this PO box, right? If you go to why did I get this? Now this is maybe 15, right up here. So that means there's been a change. No longer says D-line. If you were to update your profile, return to the website, so it goes to nothing now. But prior to that, it had if you go return to the website, look really quickly at the URL. It says DTLA United, right? Okay. And if you look at this, it says DTLA United. So the website was supposed to be DTLA United. So you put the same. So, keep all those in mind, taking notes. Here is a verified D-Line email. So we know that this actually came from D-Line. This is a Get Out the Road mixer. They have no reply on their email address. So here it's a little different. I would take this kind of process. They don't have a why did I get this, but if you say I'm going to update my subscription preferences, which basically takes you to this email list again, right? That you can update preferences, and I can update my profile, right? It's kind of the same thing. When you go there, D-Link's email here, or URL is dlink.us6.list, which Patty mentioned. So when we contacted MailChimp, they told us that this is actually the server number when they route through the mailing list. If you return to the website here, remember this is D-Link, return to the website here, it goes back to their website, okay? Just like that first email that we saw. Right. All looks really suspicious, I know. Yes. So now we said, can we create that? Can we recreate that? So here is the Empower email that we created. So when we went in, we tried to register the username D-Link, and we noted that we could not do that because the username was already taken. So we assumed by D-Link. However, what it did allow us to do was create a company name, which we could name D-Link, and it also allowed us to put in a URL. Basically, URL is a website. So what we found, we actually put in, so this is the website we recreated, and you can change this. This is this address down here. You can just basically change it when you set it up. It's very easy to change. The lowercase a is the default. So if someone just typed in like California, it would just be C in a little lowercase a. You have to actually type in that. So why did I get this? If you go to why do I get this, we were able to recreate this dline.us15 listserv. This is that first email. Remember that General Jack is stating that obviously it must be D-Line, but we were able to recreate that. If we update this profile and we go to that website, it's D-Link's website, right? So the reason why we were able to recreate this dlink.us15.listserv or list management, we found the reason why we could do that was because in the URL that we put in when we put in the website, if you put in D-Link's website, it'll say D-Link here. If you put in Empower LA's website, it'll say Empower LA here. Like when United DTLA had that United DTLA over here, because website. So this just automatically puts in whatever you put in as a URL with the website on your account. So what we found, therefore, was that it's inconclusive that you can state that, we can allege that D-Link actually sent out those Unite DTLA emails. Everything points that it didn't come from the same server. You can read D-Link just by changing the URL. And with that, we found that it could be easily done by a third party.
So there'll be a period for asking questions. I would ask you to keep your computer handy or later, because we may ask forms and other stuff.
Okay, so I'm sorry, this gentleman wanted to make it clear that when we say inconclusive, yes, it could have been D-Link, however, or a third party, but I will say that the server for MailChimp, the 15 versus 6, that is another pretty big, I know, but I'm just telling you. But those two servers is a big, that's what we have found, it could be either. Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. Now we're all lawyers. We're going to move on to the rebuttal section, which is going to be exactly the same, except everyone's going to get 5 minutes hopefully to address some of the things other folks brought up, factual things folks. We have a question challenge. And it's a generous 5 minutes. If you need extra couple minutes, that's fine.
Okay, can you set my times on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have more than 5?
I said generous 5 minutes.
Oh, I thought you said general roll. Great. That was the smoking gun right there. Thank you, Gracie, because when she clicked and said update your web, go back to the web. You all saw that. That made our case for us right there. That was Unite DTLA's email that went back to D-Link. That's the smoking gun case right there. When the downtown San Diego Council representatives got up here, there's another semi-confession. They said, oh, it was done with a separate. They didn't, of course they didn't. The smoking gun was in their hand where they used it. They weren't that simple, where they would actually use the D-Link their own account. I mean, obviously. So what they did was, oh, MailChimp is easily navigate. We'll just open up a separate email account. Evidence, Jacob Van Horn said it too. Same thing with the president. We opened up, they said it was done through a MailChimp account, opening up a new email account. So they all figured out exactly what it took. You saw Gracie, the general manager, the middle email didn't go directly to dlink.com because of the separate accounts. It's two front organizations. We already explained that in our opening remarks. So now, there is a difference, and I don't understand how the general manager does it, just going to gloss over that. So easy, but it's between UniteDTLA.com, which went back to D-Link, and DTLA United at gmail.com, which automatically suggests that there are two separate MailChimp accounts. So of course, the second one is not going to go to the same one as the first. We also contacted MailChimp. And what MailChimp said to us, obviously we're not the account holder, but what MailChimp said to us, associated with the email address that you identified, violated our terms of service because of our commitment to member privacy. We can't comment or divulge information about a user's account without a valid court order or a subpoena. And so clearly, MailChimp is weighing in, and they said it was a violation of their terms of service. To come up in this, but since we only had 5 days after the election
to enter our election challenge, you know, there's overwhelming. Trust and believe we've got stuff because we can also show where, you know, there was no cause for alarm from D-Link. They said one little teeny email. They said, you're using our logo. They didn't say anything about the PO. They know about it, but then in the second email, all of that got wiped. Why are they wiping and covering evidence? Because they got caught. Now, the whole thing is on display. You just saw the general manager done. She just clicked on it. Go back to D-Link. All roads. It's real simple. It's a unitedtla@gmail.com email that pushed out this vote no. They took a campaign as a front organization to D-Link. How is that so? Videos, but you just saw it live right here with the general manager done. Click on it, go to the website, and it went to dlink.org. There's a smoking gun right there, and we demand that this panel, see the smoking gun in D-Link's hand, but the circumstantial evidence is all the blood spatters on D-Link, the gun residue is on D-Link, all the evidence. There's no footprints of any other crime scene right now. It's D-Link is involved, D-Link is guilty, and we demand the Skid Row Neighborhood Council Formation Committee and the Skid Row community, we demand that this panel find these
All right, we're going to move on to the folks being challenged. They have the same generous 5 minutes for their rebuttal.
Hello again. Obviously made it perfectly clear, but the URL that goes to create the MailChimp account. So basically anyone could use our URL. And not just they could. It really doesn't anything. What really gets me here is how could it's a board of people who have never gotten together and even discussed this matter. How could they have set up this other MailChimp? Someone set up another MailChimp account, whether it was purposely to make us look bad, or whether because they were just too stupid to know that that was a really dumb thing to do. Some did it. Whether or not it was one of our board members, whatever it was still a single individual would take a separate account. It does not read all of ours. Therefore, it does not our list serve or our the thing that bothers me the most is I mean, someone set this up, yes. Someone stole our logo, used our post office box, but it could not have been D-Link the entity, because D-Link the entity is incapable of doing that. So I'm going to leave it with that, and I'm going to
Gentlemen of the panel, so I think that Patty summed it up. Formation committee challenges based on the limits. And as done, Tracy outlined, as we have pointed out, as you will see in the binder, okay, the link to the document. So they can go to our website, cut and paste, it has nothing to do with that. We're today immutable. basically saying that the emails go back to MailChimp. They don't go back to our viewing website. So this is something that anybody is dealing with this. Matter to the contrary, as you have there, nobody is dealing anything with this. So just because we have some of this stuff showing so-called that this might be the case, again, it's opinion, it's speculation, but it's not fact. And going forward, and this process is
All right, thanks. You guys, we've got a ways to go.
We've got one more.
So my name is Amara, I'm a member of Dealer. And I find this incredibly unfortunate because I actually respect Dealer Jack quite a bit, we've had conversations. And I just feel like what you just presented is what Gracie just presented. And I think the fact is this, anyone in this room could have created that account. And that's where we stand, that's just the fact. Right? So it's not I know there's a lot of emotion and I don't know intentions, but, oh no, don't be rude, okay? Because we gave you time and you were respectful.
We?
Yeah.
Who's we?
Oh, well, I'm saying my piece, all right? Because I am a member of D-Wave, and I'm speaking for someone who has access to a MailChimp account, that this is not something that came from me. It is not something that came from anyone who has access to a MailChimp account. Like that, it is a paper account, and it is unfortunate, and I don't know the effects of the election. I happen to be a supporter of the record. So I just wanted to speak because when truth gets twisted, I think we all lose. And people can't stay clear with the facts. Okay? The fact is, those are the account. And if that's what we're debating, then those are facts we have to go on.
Town has 5 minutes of rebuttal if they choose to use it, and I'll try to put it up. No? All right. So that ends the rebuttal phase. So we're going to move on to questions from the panel. Let us ask our questions and let us get the information we need. We'll be asking all kinds of things. I will be asking during the opening argument and the rebuttal. We're going to ask many questions to 10 or 15 minutes. And then after that, we'll move on to the general public commentary. So right now, if you'd like to start with your questions, why don't we just take it first? So could everyone, we're going to ask it of all three parties, and we're not going to go in order. So if you want to move down or be available to us, or see us.
Hi, my name is Pamela Thornton. I just have a couple of questions for you, General. How did you learn about MailChimp? How did you first learn about it?
It was working for the Council Formation Committee on an anonymous source.
Okay. So that's the copy that you gave?
Exactly.
Okay. So where's Ms. Byrne? I'm right here. Okay, so my question to you, as a leader of your neighborhood council, and this is not to be accusatory, I just want to know what was in your head. The information regarding that email, did you not contact anybody at Dunn or the city attorney's office to let them know that if your claim is that it didn't come from you, me as president, I would be alarmed because it's misrepresenting my work, and I need to have that documented that that. My question to you is that, did you do that?
Whatever, I have family with me, and no, as far as I went then was just to see it. I did speak to Gracie, I believe it was the Monday after.
No, let's say this, I have a question, so this week I'll go back. Carlos Ferrer. On March, a notice to United DTLA at Gmail, cease and desist using the logo. Using it on April 28th, they sent out an email that was sent to this one. From DTLA United at Gmail.
That there were no longer using our logo.
I have an email on Friday, April 28th that says United Downtown with the logo of DTLA.
That's not
It resembles your logo. Did you ever think of contacting them and telling